Today I'm going to be helping you guys to save money on fragrance. Now, I know there's so many incredible fragrances out there that we fall in love with, and maybe they don't have dupes. Maybe they're not on Oakjar, Juliana's, and all these discount sites. So instead of providing you with dupes, today I'm going to give you some alternatives to some really popular, wonderful fragrances that are less money and will give you the same vibe, if not pretty spot on to the actual thing. Like and subscribe down below. Follow me on TikTok. We just hit over 1,000 followers on there. I'm really excited. And follow me on Instagram as well so we can chat in my DMs. And let's get to it. Let's save that money. Save that money. The first fragrance I want to provide you with a more affordable dupe for is Sunset Hour by Goldfield and Banks. This is a new release by the brand, and I've seen it circulating on YouTube. Everyone's starting to buy it. Everyone's talking about it. And I want you to know that there's a cheaper alternative if you love this fragrance, and that is Donna Born in Roma. I recently received a sample of Sunset Hour, and the minute I put it on my skin, I was like, oh, okay, this is Donna Born in Roma. And when I read the notes, you'll see they are very similar in their compositions. So Sunset Hour has mandarin, peach, coconut, and raspberry in the top, but I don't really get the coconut, unfortunately. In the mid, there's jasmine, ginger, and pink pepper. And in the base, there's sandalwood, cashmere wood, and benzoin. So it's a fruity, kind of fizzy, sweet fragrance with some woods in the base. Donna Born in Roma has blackcurrant, pink pepper, bergamot at the top, jasmine in the middle, and bourbon vanilla, cashmeran, and gaiac wood in the base. So as you can see, they have a very similar note profile. They both have that jasmine in the mid, they both have the pink pepper, the fruity notes in the top, and the woodsy, more vanillic touches in the base. So these two fragrances are about $50 in difference. Sunset Hour will run you $185, and Donna Born in Roma will run you $138. Now I want to make a note that the prices I'm giving you during this video are not discounted prices. These are full retail, the highest prices I could find. Obviously you can find these fragrances for less wherever you go, but I'm just giving you straight on retail prices so that you can compare for yourself and that people who don't want to buy from discount sites know their options. If you really love Sunset Hour and you want a bright, juicy, sweet, kind of fizzy fragrance with some woodiness in the base, check out Donna Born in Roma if you don't already own it. Honestly, I don't think you need both. I think they're that similar. Next, we have a personal favorite of mine, and that is Side Effect. I rave about Side Effect all the time on this channel, but we all know that Side Effect is a pretty penny. Side Effect will run you for about $350, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I personally think it's worth it, but there are other more affordable options that will give you the same, if not very similar vibes. So Side Effect has rum, vanilla, tobacco, and cinnamon. It's a sweet, boozy, a little bit spicy fragrance. The tobacco isn't too heavy, it's smooth, it's sexy, it's unisex. A fragrance that's also very popular, that has very similar note structure and vibes to Side Effect, is Jazz Club by Maison Margiela. Now the notes in Jazz Club are pink pepper, neroli, and lemon at the top, rum, vetiver oil, and clary sage in the mid, and tobacco leaf, vanilla bean, and styrax at the base. So both fragrances have that rum and they have that tobacco. They both have this kind of smoky, sexy, tobacco unisex vibe going on. And when I smelled Side Effect for the first time, I genuinely thought it smelled like a smoother, sweeter version of Jazz Club, and I still stand by that. I find Jazz Club to be a little more aromatic, a little more herbaceous from those other notes in there, and it's not quite as smooth. I also find it to be a little more masculine than Side Effect, which is a little bit sweeter. But overall, the two fragrances have a very similar vibe. They have the same note profile. And if you don't want to spend $350 on Side Effect, Jazz Club will only run you $144. So there's a significant price differential there. Let me know if you've tried both of these fragrances and if you can see the similarity between them and which one you prefer. Next up, we have another very popular Inicio fragrance, and that is Rehab. Rehab is a gorgeous, sweet, aromatic fragrance with lavender and vanilla. It is unisex, it is a bomb, so strong, but once again, it costs you $350. That's a lot of money to spend on a fragrance, and I totally understand when people don't want to drop that kind of coin. If you want something that is very similar to Rehab, check out Spice Bomb Extreme by Victor and Rolf. Spice Bomb Extreme is only $125. So once again, huge price differential there. In Rehab, we have lavender and bergamot at the top, vetiver, cedar, and patchouli in the mid, and then sandalwood, musk, and gaiac wood in the base. In Spice Bomb Extreme, we have vanilla, tobacco, black pepper, caraway, and lavender. So they do have different note profiles, but they end up smelling very similar. And the minute I tried Spice Bomb Extreme, it reminded me of Rehab right away because I had been acquainted with Rehab before Spice Bomb Extreme. I think that lavender really makes a difference, and they kind of both have this woody, fresh facet going on. So there's some freshness, there's that aromaticness from the lavender, but then there's kind of this creamy, sweet, woody dry down as well. And that's what makes the fragrance so sexy and great for all genders. So I would say if you adore Rehab, but you don't want to drop that coin, check out Spice Bomb Extreme. I think it's a great alternative, if not almost a dupe. Next on our list, we have another very expensive, very popular fragrance, and that is Dama Bianca. Now, Dama Bianca is from Xerjoff, and we all know Xerjoff is a pretty penny. They do not ease off on the prices, but the fragrances are so high quality and incredible that we do it anyway. So Dama Bianca is a fragrance that has kumquat and lime at the top, iris, violet, jasmine, lilac, and lily of the valley in the mid, and then vanilla, malt, amberette, white musk, sandalwood, and cedar in the base. When I smelled Dama Bianca, it smelled fizzy and citrusy and a little musky and a little powdery. It reminded me of a very bougie hotel bathroom. It wasn't a love for me, but it was a definite like. There's something classy, very sophisticated, and feminine about Dama Bianca. Now, the alternative I have for you guys is actually a dupe, if I'm not mistaken, and this is Junun Noir from Al Haramain. And listen to these notes. So in the top of Junun Noir, we have kumquat and lime. In the base, we have orris, violet, jasmine, lily of the valley. And in the base, we have vanilla, musk, sandalwood, and cedar. The only difference is the ambrette and the malt. So, I mean, it's basically the same notes besides two small differences. And this is by Al Haramain, which does a lot of really great Middle Eastern dupes of popular fragrances. And get this, Xerjoff will run you $305 for a bottle of Dama Bianca. Junun Noir is $60. So, I mean, huge price differential. If you don't want to splurge on Dama Bianca, check out Junun Noir. It's a very close dupe. I think Dama Bianca is a little smoother, a little more refined. It's a Xerjoff, and you don't get that exquisite packaging. But there is no harm in buying a $60 dupe if you love the fragrance and just can't handle that price point. Now, I'm going to quickly touch on a fragrance I already did a video on, but I wanted to include it in this list because it's a perfect example of an affordable alternative to a very popular, expensive niche fragrance. And I'm talking about Wild Vanilla Orchid versus Poets of Berlin by Wilhelm. Poets of Berlin has blueberry and lemon in the top, bamboo and orris in the mid, and vanilla, sandalwood, and vetiver in the base. I absolutely adore Poets of Berlin. It's a woody vanilla fragrance with some green touches, but you really get that blueberry that has this kind of gourmand sweetness through the whole length of the fragrance. The bamboo adds this really unique green touch, this earthiness to the fragrance. It's delicious, it's feminine, and it's just such a nice balanced fragrance. Wild Vanilla Orchid by Floral Street has a very similar note profile. It has vanilla, cassis, and citruses at the top, flowers, bamboo, and jasmine in the mid, and vanilla bean, sandalwood, orchid, and patchouli in the base. So there are some differences, but they both have that very characteristic bamboo note that really shines in both of the fragrances, sandalwood and vanilla. So it is a green woody vanilla, just like Poets of Berlin, and they're actually both made by the perfumer Jerome Epinette. So clearly Jerome has a style, and maybe he was trying to make a dupe, I'm not sure, but he did it well because they are very similar fragrances. The key thing that separates the two is that distinct blueberry note. I think that Poets of Berlin is a little more gourmand and a little softer and a little more powdery and cocooning, whereas Wild Vanilla Orchid is a little more fruity and a little more punchy. But there's no denying that these two fragrances have the same vibe. And the price difference is huge. Poets of Berlin will run you $245. I mean, that's a pretty penny. Wild Vanilla Orchid, on the other hand, is only 84 bucks. So hey, if you love Poets of Berlin, but you're trying to save your cash, check out Wild Vanilla Orchid. It's a great high quality fragrance and the packaging is stunning. Now I have one more for you guys. This is also an alternative by a Middle Eastern brand that does a lot of dupe type fragrances called OffNone. I'm gonna give you an alternative for Olympia Intense, which in itself isn't a super expensive fragrance, especially if you go on discount sites, but OffNone is so cheap that the price differential still makes a difference. So Olympia Intense is a salty, ambery vanilla fragrance. It has notes of amber, vanilla, salt, and ambergris, orange blossom, white pepper, grapefruit blossom, and cedar. It's thick, it's dense, it's super sweet, it feels tropical, it's very ambery, and it has that very characteristic Olympia saltiness that people go crazy for. Now, OffNone Ornament has very similar note profile. So it has fruit and coconut in the top, florals and orange blossom in the mid, amber, vanilla, and musk. So it has an addition of coconut, and I love coconut. If anything, I prefer OffNone Ornament because it has that kick of coconut that I find so appealing, and it also doesn't have that saltiness. But the two fragrances smell very, very similar. You could say this is a dupe or a very close alternative. They both have that thick, dense, super sweet amber accompanied by fruity tropical notes and vanilla. If you like Olympia Intense, you're almost guaranteed to like OffNone Ornament. And while Olympia Intense goes for around $90 at its highest price, OffNone Ornament is $35 to $40. So that still makes a difference in your bank account at the end of the day, especially if you're getting something that smells almost identical with good performance. Check out OffNone Ornament. I know you can find it on Fragrance X right now as well as on Amazon. I hope that you guys found some really nice, cheaper alternatives to your favorite fragrances in this video. I'm just always trying to save you guys some cash and help you out, okay? So get back to me and let me know how I did. I will talk to you very soon. Bye.